Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy. Cat may jump on me here in a minute, so don't be surprised if I am surprised. She's down here purring on the ground, but she won't leap up. So she will do it at the most surprising moment, just to be a cat. So today I want to talk about spirit animals, power animals, totem animals, that sort of thing. I'm not going to call myself an expert, far from it. And part of the reason that I want to discuss this is that I feel that all of us probably have, I'm assuming, some latent shamanic nature, that's part of being human. And I think I've certainly had it for a long time, but didn't know how to address it, make use of it, etc. And I've recently, I employed a contemporary shamanic practitioner to do a shamanic journey on my behalf and bring back a power animal for me. And she did that. It was lovely, very appropriate. It was dolphin, and I've had a connection with dolphin. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I've had this little dolphin thing. I haven't collected a lot of dolphin stuff, but I do have some dolphin things. And, excuse me, yes, whether it's allergies or still combating the bug I had. And I still have some lung stuff going on. But then it was kind of, she gave me a little bit of guidance, but then it was pretty much up to me to develop, solidify, listen to, make use of this relationship. This dolphin, it requires a trust in your own imagination and acceptance of whatever seems to be happening. Not an uncritical necessarily acceptance, and I can give you some very brief examples, but although consulting like the book Animals Speak or other things that give you some idea of what an animal means, you also have to let that go and let the relationship that you are going to have with this particular spirit develop and just be whatever it is. I think of things like the Animals Speak book and other, there's lots of stuff online right now, which is wonderful. Those are more useful when an animal appears to you in your everyday life that you think has a message for you, and that is probably the message is connected to those more common associations with the animals. But when you are working directly on a more intimate level with a power animal, an animal spirit of some kind, it's different, and it's not. You can't be passive. Is my experience, and that's what the shamanic practitioner pretty much, excuse me, also said. That they often recommend that you do some kind of dance or song or something to kind of welcome and manifest your relationship with that spirit. But you can do that, but if you don't keep going back or you don't keep checking in, it's like a friendship. It just sort of fades. And so it's not like, being shown, because I feel like dolphin was there on the fringe of things to begin with. So being shown the importance, or that a particular power or the spirit animal wants to come forward to help you, it's not like a prescription. It's not like a pill you take and then you sit back and expect things to happen, or that you expect the spirit animal to work behind the scenes on your behalf. Now, I believe that they do that to some extent, but that's, I think, based on a relationship or a process that you're going through. So, and there's just not very much out there that addresses what, and I think that there's some stigma, like you're not supposed to discuss it. There's some people believe that, and I think that's a detriment to everyone, because we have to learn these things. We're human beings. We have to learn these things, and that's a great way of learning, is by sharing. And so if anybody wants to comment on their own experiences, feel free to do so. Or if they've commented on their own blog or something, feel free to put a link in the comments below on this video. So I'm starting to feel it's kind of a mission for me to bring out my own experiences, perhaps not in great detail, but to encourage other people to consult with what they feel are their totem animals or deeply connected spirits. And for myself, I tend to go with animal spirits. Other people have, I would say, broader experiences or different experiences. And I can't speak to those. But I believe that everybody has a shamanic nature. I've run across, I think, one person who, if it says, what do you think is your totem animal, or what animal do you identify with the most, it said none. And that's the only person. They weren't consulting me, so I didn't have anything else to say. But I think a lot of people do identify with one or another. For me, it's bear. I mean, I am bear. I don't know to what extent you can visually see that, but I am bear. But that's not, but dolphin is my primary helper right now. It's the spirit I go to when I say, okay, take me on a journey. Where do we need to go? What do we need to do? And that's I think what I want to say, is that you, as much as the power animal empowers you, you empower it to change your life. You go to it and say, show me what I need to know. Take me on a journey. And that's also where I think I depart a little bit from the idea of the shamanic tradition, where you have to have the drum, or some kind of mind-altering substance. And, maybe some people do need that. But I would encourage everyone to try without feeling that you need additional aids. I think what it really requires is a kind of a freeing of your mind to associate and follow something. And in a traditional shamanic journey, they say to imagine a tunnel, and you go down the tunnel, and etc. And what I'm finding with my experience with dolphin is, again, that I just say, take me on a journey. And in my mind, I just latch on to or am beside dolphin, and dolphin is taking me wherever we happen to go. And it's been interesting. And then you suspend your intention. You suspend your intention that something will happen. And that can be difficult, and it's like the first couple of times when we did that, and dolphins took me down, 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 down. And my logical mind can go, but I don't think dolphins go that deep. I don't think, I don't think this is quite right. But I had to allow that, and I had to follow it, and I had to see dolphins show me something more than once to kind of get it in that particular context. And so dolphin and I have been traveling without any tunnels for a few weeks now. It's probably more like a month. And one of the things that I've come to realize is I thought, you know what, I'm sure that I could have the same experience with bear. And I could have had, because I felt connected to bear for a long time, I could have had that experience with bear 15, 20 years ago if I had realized that the connection I was feeling was something that I could reach out and I don't know if solidify is the right word, but embrace maybe is a better word. You know, I could reach out and embrace and welcome that as more than just something on the fringe, on the outside, or something so kind of deeply embedded in my soul that I just took it for granted. That I could have said, I could have asked of bear, I could have said, take me on a journey. Where do I need to go? What do I need to see? You know, what is important now? And maybe it would be something very casual. Or, you know, I don't know. You know, clearly Dolphin is showing me some fairly serious things, and sometimes, you know, shows up in ways that are a little bit more frivolous. More, you know, one of the things when I say suspend your disbelief is that I think of Dolphin as expressing joy, as being kind of a joyful energy, a happy energy. And yet, my most recent journey with Dolphin was to a place that I came to see as my sea, S-E-A, sea of sorrows. I didn't know I had a sea of sorrows, you know, that it is my mission to explore, and so we'll be going back there, you know. And it doesn't always have to be about animals. Somebody that is in my sea of sorrows is a black man who is a helper. It's like a shaman there in my sea of sorrows. Is a helper and a comforter, and I don't know him that well yet, and is not an articulate at this point presence. Anyway, so that is not something I would have expected. I am not this is like a clear sand, you know, clear water, crystalline water, sand beach. It's like a tropical island area. And I'm not a tropical island kind of a gal. And I remember the first time I ended up there, I thought, you know, I really am more of a northern forest, cliff face kind of a gal. And it was like, but, you know, this is where Dolphin wants to take me. I think I better go here. And it felt, you know, it did feel good to, and this is how it felt, to go out on the sand and lay out in that sort of warmth. And apparently I'm being told that I needed that. I need to go back kind of for more of that. But in terms of what I said is, you know, you kind of suspend your disbelief. You have to be willing to accept and go where you're going. As I said, like when I was going deep into this black, deep water, like going down to the bottom of the ocean with this dolphin, you know, at first I was like, what? And then I just said, just go with it, just accept, and that was good. But there was another time, and it was this latest journey where I ended up at the Sea of Sorrows. At the beginning of that journey, again, all I did was extend an invitation. You know, hey Dolphin, take me on a journey. And so the Dolphin takes me on a wild ride up and down. It was like storm swells. And, you know, to the Dolphin, as a master of the water, just, you know, would just up and down and up and down, and it was like, you know, I'm not a roller coaster gal. This is not working for me, Dolphin. I know you're having a good time, but this is not what I need. And so, you know, Dolphin kind of went underneath the storm swells, and you know, which apparently either what we're going to do will calm the storm swells, which I'm not even aware of having storm swells emotionally, or will make me strong enough to feel like I can go up and ride those again a little bit better. And so, you know, it took us under that influence, that surface influence, and down, and then back up to the crystalline waters, and we're back at a familiar beach which I had been at before. but hadn't realized was my sea of sorrows. So then I, learned about my sea of sorrows, and to be continued, to be explored further. But again, I stopped and I was thinking about this, because certainly I know, that I have that bear spirit. I'm bear. My sister long ago, and I've talked about this when I've talked, I think, about cards and stuff, had identified the hawk spirit in me. And that was using the medicine cards, and every time, it was even, I would always pull the hawk card, just always. And it was becoming annoying even, and I just said, I think it's the manufacturer of the cards. That card is darker, and I kind of look for the darker cards was my way of picking them out. And so I said to my sister, okay, just look at the cards and just pick out the darkest one. I know you'll pick the hawk. No, she never did. She did it again and again, and she never did. And I always did. So she said, you're just a hawk woman. That's what you are. And apparently I was having difficulty absorbing that. I may still be having difficulty absorbing that lesson. So that's another one. There are others that are more transitory. Again, helpers or I think of those often as messengers, messages that we are to take in and receive. And sometimes, for me, sometimes I'm able to unravel them and laugh or see the relevance to my life. And sometimes not. Sometimes, it goes right over my head. What can I say? But that's okay. I still think it's worthwhile kind of cocking your head and going, was that a message for me? And giving it some thought, some reflection. But more important, I feel that that we're missing out on an entire dimension of our lives by not embracing our spirit or power animals and asking them for either guidance, as you say, or again, to just take us on a journey. Take me, wherever it leads, just take me. Calgon, take me away. In this case, a dolphin, take me away. And it's not always an easy trip. Like I said, you go into your sea of sorrows. I'm supposed to map my sea of sorrows. Okay. So, as I've been thinking about this, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I do want to embrace my menagerie. I feel that I do have a menagerie. Maybe some people don't. Maybe some people are very focused on one animal. Like I said, I feel very strongly about bear, but that doesn't, doesn't mean that I don't connect with others. I certainly do. And kind of all kinds of others at different times. I feel drawn to different ones, but some are very steady, and I think those are the ones that we need to pay the most attention to. In the shamanic tradition, as I've read it in, I can't remember his first name, but last name I believe is Warner. It's the way of the shaman. He speaks of seeing the animal 3 times when you're in a shamanic state of consciousness. Others will say if you just see it kind of 3 times, if you see it in your real life, or you see it in your dreams, or you see it a couple of times, and especially if it charges at you, which can feel very threatening. But that's its attempt to kind of enter into your consciousness, become part of you, in order, in the way of thinking of this, to kind of experience a life again. Or I don't even feel like, when it's said like that, it doesn't maybe feeling just like we are going there, wherever this there is, to experience something a little different from our everyday life. It's as though those spirits are reaching out and wanting to do the same, experiencing a different dimension perhaps. And So I feel like those are the ones that I particularly want to explore again and say, hey bear, where do we want to go? Dolphin takes me to the Sea of Sorrows. How about something a little different? So one of the ways that I started exploring this was to look at my astrology. I was looking at just to kind of remember and reconnect with some of the animals in the past that I felt close to. And it's been a real curious, or even to open up the possibility of having a different sort of a relationship with some kinds of animals that perhaps I hadn't considered before. Because I do feel like I've led a fairly non-spiritual, I won't say logical, because I can't say that all my decisions are logical, but, you know, I haven't been seeking to understand these things that bubble up or present themselves. I just say, oh, isn't that beautiful? Ah, bear. I mean, sometimes bear and I, we have problems, not between each other, but I'm aware of problems of how maybe a problem I'm having is manifesting with bear, and maybe vice versa, I don't know. We're so tightly knit. But there's others, like when I was thinking about astrology. In astrology you have your sun sign, which is the one we're most familiar with, your moon sign, and your rising sign. And so I was thinking about the elements involved in that. So I was thinking, all right, I've got water with Cancer, and then I have Virgo, I have Earth, and then Gemini, air. And I am very, my ascending really, I'm very airy. I'm very airy. I have a strong Gemini influence. So that made me think, okay, well, what animals would kind of embody all three of those? And it just got me thinking of who to connect to, without necessarily going to a shamanic practitioner to find a specific guide for you to explore a particular problem. Do I regret going to a shamanic practitioner? Not at all. Will I do it again? Probably. Because I don't know that I would have connected with dolphin, even though I've had kind of some dolphin yearnings, you might say. And I wouldn't have taken it as seriously. So if I have issues that come up in the future, or maybe I'll even just make it a practice, you know, once a year or once every 5 years, or God knows what. I can't predict the future of this. I'm starting it at this point, where I would, you know, seek out a shamanic practitioner and say, you know, this is what I do. I go and see somebody and just say, you know, bring me a power animal who is out, who wants to connect with me, and just see what comes up. And then another thing that I found very interesting, and you know, those explorations led me that, you know, those three elements, earth, air, and water, led me to Kingfisher, which I'd forgotten my connection to Kingfisher, which, you know, I don't know that I've seen Kingfisher in quite a while, but I did see them pretty frequently in Montana. And so I was grateful for that. It also brought up, and I'm not 100% sure on this one, goose. But, you know, to me it's worth exploring. And I do just bring these up and I say, you know, what was one? I think it was heron. I love herons. Even though I love herons, I'm not sure that they're really a power animal for me. And so I was like, no, and I can't remember, there were some other ones. I said no, and then, you know, I kind of saw the kingfisher diving. Oh, kingfisher, yes. You know, so it just hits you kind of on a deeper level. I also brought up, I'm a horse lover from way back, but I haven't been connected to horses in a long time. And so I just said, out of curiosity, is there a horse in there, is kind of how I said it. I don't know it would be in there or out there, but is there a horse in there? And immediately I got the horse. It was an angry horse. It was a horse kind of striking out, shaking its head the way they do and striking out. And it's like, so that's opening the door. That's being open. Is hello out there. Is the world of spirit animals, spirit helpers. Is there a horse out there? So it's like, shut the door. Okay, I got it. You're there. And that is the way I interpret it. That kind of angry energy is like, you've been neglecting me. And it's like, I get it, all right. But I can't address you right now, okay? I just was checking. So yes, so I will eventually return and develop a relationship with a horse in a completely different way than I ever have before. But I'm probably bringing up horse because then I decided, so I did the sun, moon, and rising sign and the elements there, and it helped that kind of guide me to possible potential spirit animals. And then probably, or at least in part because I do have health issues, I've been exploring chakras for a good 6 months or a year now, about a year, and just the whole notion, etc. And I do a chakra reading with cards that I really love and people find really interesting and effective. And so I thought, I wonder if some of these spirit animals are kind of connected to a specific chakra, or can help you with a specific chakra, and maybe they can help you with other things in your life, or other, speaking for me, other things in my life. But this was a question that came up for me, and so I inquired. I said, okay, well, who would be my root chakra? Immediately, rabbit. Rabbit is my root chakra. And then I moved up to my sacral chakra and said, well, who is my sacral chakra? And that's a little shaky, but I think that's the horse. But I may have to explore that a little bit more, but that might be horse. And then I went to my solar plexus chakra, and that was clearly Badger. Totally Badger, and Badger is not giving up the solar plexus chakra. I even, like I said, I am a questioner. Again, there's this openness or this taking it in kind of thing, and I saw Badger in your solar plexus. Now, the solar plexus is kind of how you put yourself out there in the world. It's also about your self-esteem, etc. And I thought, well, Badger isn't a very friendly energy to have in your kind of the way you're interacting with the world. And it's like, but Badger was like, oh, I am Badger and I am here. You are not. This is who's in your solar plexus. It's like, yes, okay, Badger, I get it. And the beauty of having Badger in your solar plexus is you have this very powerful, assertive, aggressive animal that is guarding. To me, that's the way it felt, is it's guarding my self-esteem. It's like, oh, I mean, that's the beautiful aspect of it. But there was this other one. How's that going to work with my interactions with other people? But so there's Badger in the solar plexus. Moved up to the heart. Heart is Bear. That was clear as a bell also. But when I got to my throat, there was another mystery. And I still haven't solved it. I don't know what the throat chakra, who is inhabiting my throat chakra. I actually went through, and just, I've got this frog in my throat. I went through, and I do tend to have a froggy throat. And I went through the Animal Speak book just to try to solve this mystery. I even took it a little bit to my sister, and I said, to her in a conversation, I said, well, what do you think? I'm kind of missing my throat chakra. And she didn't come up with anything that kind of resonated with me. She didn't have a strong impression. And So I went through the Animal Speak book, was just kind of looking for two things: peace and, not for my throat chakra, but just some other thinking, and communication. And I'm coming to the end of the book, and I thought, well, maybe it's an animal that isn't in here, because it certainly doesn't have all animals by any means. And I came near the very end, and there was frog. I thought, you know what? I bet there might be a frog. Might be froggy in my throat, literally and figuratively. So I'm going to meditate on that. I'm not 100% on frog, but I'm going to think about it. And I think I have frog connections anyway. I should probably communicate with frog in any case. But and then third eye, hawk. Third eye is the hawk. And then crown chakra was a question mark. Kind of like the throat was a question mark and remains unresolved. But I will tell you, in terms of other indicators, that I had an experience. Now, when I was very young, my sister and I together had an experience with a female moose, which I'm not going to go into here. I don't want to get any too much longer than I already am. And then I lived for quite a while in the West, and had various opportunities to encounter moose, some kind of up close, quite a bit at a distance. And so I had those, but there came up, so I kind of had some interaction, moosey interaction. Not a lot, but I did. And then there came a time, in particular when I was staying in a location that was on the edge of a very large wilderness. It's on the northern end of Yellowstone. And everybody was seeing moose but me. Everybody was seeing moose but me. And I thought, you know what? Maybe the moose connection is just not there anymore. Maybe it's, and I wasn't thinking that it had anything to do with me, or I just figured, maybe it's just not, maybe that's passed away. Because everybody was seeing the moose but me. And so I let it go. I didn't think any more about moose, think of moose more in regards to other people at this point. Well, then I had a dream. This is kind of like the horse. So I had a dream this past week. And this may have been actually what kind of got me started thinking, well, what other animals have I not connected to that I should be connecting to, that are feeling sort of neglected, or that they've been waiting for me to reach out or embrace them. So I had this dream where I was going out on a spit of land into a body of water, fresh water, lake water. So I'm going out onto a spit of land. I had a dog with me. And up ahead I saw a female moose. And she had 2 babies. And so I saw that, oh, that's cool. But in part, I've got this dog here. And the dog hadn't seen the moose yet, or scented it, and it's like, I'm not even going to go there. So I'm going to turn around before my dog realizes there's something up there it might want to attempt to chase or harass. And so I turned around, even though I had turned around and felt like I was quite a distance from this moose. This mother moose came up the spit and chased me off there. Not super aggressively, but made sure that I had gone. I thought, okay. And so me and the dog, we started along the side of the body of water, and it was up on a very steep embankment or a short cliff. And so it's a short cliff, and then there's like a shelf of water before it gets really deep. And out on the shelf of water was a male moose. And so I'm looking, over the bank, and oh, look at there's a male moose. And then I thought, I have to jump down there with this male moose. I have to do this. And so I kind of told the dog to go on without me, and that I would have to go down, and it's kind of like I'm going to have to go down there and allow this moose to trample me, and which is kind of the way, because I knew if I jumped down there, the moose would not be happy, and yet I felt like this, like I have to sacrifice myself. I have to jump down and have this encounter with this moose. And so I did, and as dreams will, it kind of broke apart as I kind of felt like there was this post or tree that I was hiding behind as the moose was trying to kind of get at me from one way or another, just in a snorty, angry, kind of stompy kind of way. So, excuse me. And so that was another one where, I had the horse, and then it's like, all right, and now moose is like kind of giving me what I would take, kind of, they're angry signals. It's like, and then there's me. What about me? Why haven't you? That's the way I take that. You've been neglecting us also. And so now I feel like I have a huge number of animals that I need to reconnect with. And again, all I can think of is, if I had known this when I was so much younger, what kind of experiences or understandings, or I don't know, I just feel like this is something that we should all explore within ourselves and be open to and check in with on a relatively regular basis in order to be just regular old healthy human beings. So yeah, there's my ramble on that, and I will probably ramble on it again, because I'm starting to feel like this is a mission in terms of self-understanding, understanding the world, understanding our own humanity, our connection to all things. So yeah, share your experiences with totem animals, power animals. Again, even if you just kind of say, yes, I know my primary animal that I identify, spirit animal that I identify with, is X, like for me being bear. And I will add this, that I know is shamanic practitioners will say this also, that spirit does not always have to come to you, or you don't always experience it as an animal. It can, can have human aspects, and I've heard people who say that they also will connect to something that we consider mythical, like a dragon or some such. So what was I thinking in terms of, for example, I one time had probably one of my most powerful experiences. I think I'd have to say it is my most powerful experience with things that made no sense in terms of normal reality. I was walking, and I felt like there was a big hand, like a human-sized hand, that came down in front of me, and it was, I'm not going to go again, I'm not going to do the whole story here, but it came down in front of me and left a shield of feathers, and I knew that was coming from Hawk. Even at the time that the hand was coming down, I'm thinking, oh, but that's a hand, but the Hawk is helping me, and there's, the shield of feathers. Which are kind of, my logical mind's just sort of swept away, sort of, so I've been guilty of violations. There's appropriate that there should be some anger from my power animals, and or spirit guides, or whatever you want to call them. And there was another time when bear was when I was I was feeling very emotional, and in my sorrow was feeling alone, and I felt the bear paw come along, kind of a caress, bear paw come along the side of my head, and I felt the claws, but then it turned into a hand, into a human hand, and just kind of saying, no, I'm here. And so, and even dolphin has transformed, even though dolphin, in the dolphin form, I think of as male. That's, excuse me, that's how it comes across to me. In moments when dolphin has wanted to comfort me, I get a mermaid, female mermaid. So there is a transformation. So be open to a certain amount of shape-shifting, slipperiness, but it still is very clearly dolphin. It still is very clearly bear. So again, there you go. There's my talk on shamanic, my experiences with my own shamanic nature as I'm coming to understand it, and my own stepping into understanding and embracing this whole aspect of life. And I hesitate to say like psychology or imagination, because I don't feel like it is that. I don't feel like it is like some people say, you go into completely alternate reality or something. That's not how I'm experiencing it. But I do feel like it is a relationship that is not completely invented, and that it is adding another dimension to my life that I think anybody can connect to. I think anybody can do this, and I think some of us are particularly called to do, and yet we don't know how to make those steps into, which is, I'm finding, really is merely invitation. Hello, dolphin, take me on a journey. So again, let me know your thoughts. I'll be very curious to hear of other people's experiences, and this is something that I will continue to explore. I don't know that I'm going to be doing it regularly. I got a whole sea of sorrow to map. So I don't know that I'll be getting on to other animals very soon. I might be staying with dolphin for quite a while, and I'm not sure that I'll have other insights that are for anybody other than me personally. But again, I feel really strongly like I need to advocate that other people not only say to themselves, golly, I feel really connected to swans, Well, if you do, explore it further. Go deeper into it. Get into a quiet space, and say, Swan, what do you have to show me? Take me on a journey, Swan. And you might need to transform. You might need to become small and ride on Swan's back. You might need to swim alongside Swan. So you have to allow your own. You might have to go through some transformations as well. Anyway, there you go. Again, if you have any response, if you have any experiences, please share them in the comments below. Take care. Bye-bye.